Hello, everyone. Welcome to our YouTube channel. We are here with real couple cheating stories that will definitely go up smack to you. Hit the bell icon if you want to watch more nail-biting and thought-provoking real stories. Meet me. This is Benjamin Noah. I'm 35 years old man. Currently I'm doing cosmetics and skincare products business. I'm basically from California but shifted to Washington after my parents' death. Today, I am highly upset and happy at the same time. I'm just going to explain to you guys how that bitch ditched me, Diana. You did something really unfair to me. The way you deceived me is really unforgivable. I know you're regretting now, but I don't give a fuck to you now. I don't have any soft corner for you in my heart and life. Well, I got married to Diana in 2020, initial days of our marriage. Life was really good and satisfying. There used to be 4 people in our house. Me, my wife, my aunt who raised me, and her son named Jack, who is my cousin instead of growing together. My relationship with Jack is really not familiar because he used to be jealous of me since childhood. Because of my good grades and achievements, I tried my best to make him comfortable with me. But all my efforts were just unsuccessful. At first, it was really difficult for Diana to be settled properly in our house because of my daily quarrels with Jack. Then after about 1 to 2 months, we decided to shift to another apartment. I remember my aunt was really not happy with my decision, but I did what my wife wanted. Things started going smoothly when we shifted to the apartment. That time, I was working as an employee at a cosmetics company and my wife was working as a real estate agent. To be honest, she was indeed very responsible and caring at the start. I remember how our weekends used to be on every Sunday's night. My wife used to cook pizza for me. Our physical relationship was also really good. Diana used to entertain me a load by wearing seductive lingerie. It seemed like life was really blessed to me. After 1 year, at the end of 2021, we came to know that my wife became pregnant that time. Indeed, there was no place for my happiness and excitement. Soon we were blessed with a baby girl named Anna. Diana was a really caring and loving mother. We both, along with our baby, used to go for picnics and used to have a lot of fun and romance. But then one day, I noticed something really strange. I remember it was about 3 a.m. I was sleeping peacefully. As usual, our baby was sleeping in the middle of me and my wife on the bed. I randomly got my eyes open because of our baby's feet movement. I smiled and realized that the baby was awake. At that time, I found my wife nowhere in the bedroom. It seemed like she was in the washroom because I could feel some sounds coming from the washroom. Like if she was doing something with the water. I kept playing with my baby, but my wife had not come back from the washroom even yet. I thought that maybe she was in trouble. So I decided to check her out when I knocked on the door. No one opened me. I kept knocking for about 10 minutes, but she did not open. When I opened the door, I realized that it was unlocked and my wife was not in the washroom. I got even confused on realizing the fact that someone had intentionally turned on the tap to make me think that she was in the washroom. I got really perplexed and decided to check her out outside of the bedroom. I did not find her anywhere. I was shocked to see her coming outside from the house from the garage. She seemed really drunk that time. Her makeup was ruined and she was sweating that time. As soon as she found me awake and standing in front of her, she became like a fish out of water. I remember how my wife cunningly began to tell me that she was just enjoying the cold breeze. I could feel that she was lying with me. As at that time, she seemed really afraid. Her phone was in her hands, which was vibrating continuously. I realized something was definitely wrong with her. When I asked her to pick up her phone call, she looked at me with her bolting red eyes and then replied to me that it was a wrong number and then hurriedly went to the bedroom saying that we must not leave our baby alone. My vice activities were getting strange day by day. She started taking care of her skincare and fitness a lot. I remember, in spite of spending time with me and our daughter on the weekend, my wife used to be engaged in doing her skincare or in the salon. One day, I was literally shocked when I remember it was about 9 a.m. We both were sitting in the TV room where we were watching the movie. To be honest, actually, I was watching the movie as my wife's concentration was on her mobile. My wife seemed really restless and was continuously using the mobile phone. I even asked her so many times to concentrate on the movie and joined me, but she was not listening to me. I was expecting her to make the pizza for me. But she used to cook every weekend. But this time she really hurted me by saying that she was just tired of making that boring pizza. I remember it was about 10 a.m. on the same night when my wife was standing in front of the mirror and dressing herself up. It seemed like she was going somewhere. I wanted to ask her about it. But then I thought that maybe she was preparing herself for me to entertain me on the bed. While I decided to order something for us, I wanted to surprise her by ordering her favorite restaurants, pasta and pizza. I went to another room to order food. But when I came back to my bedroom, I was shocked to see my wife nowhere in the house. I called her, which she did not pick. After about 10 minutes, she called me and said that she was at the hospital for her friend who had just gotten into an accident. When I asked her about the hospital's name and location, my wife quickly declined the call. I kept calling her, but her phone was switched off. I remember that night my wife reached the house at about 2 a.m. Someone in the big and luxurious car had dropped her to our house. I remember when my wife reached the house, she seemed really tired when I asked her about that car and all the things. I remember my wife replied angrily that I must not have asked her such questions at that time. Well, she did not look at me properly that night and just threw her bag and then slept. Her phone was in her bag, which was ringing continuously. My wife was so immersed in sleeping that time that she did not even listen to her phone's ringing. Well, I stood up from the bed in order to pick up her phone's call when my wife snatched her bag from me and said to me that I should not check out her personal things without her permission. The way she talked to me was really unbelievable and shocking. She had not ever talked to me like this before. In fact, before that she used to share the passwords on our phone with each other. I literally got very disappointed that night. The next morning when I woke up, my mood with my wife was not good. Obviously, the way she talked to me fiercely and rudely was really heartbreaking. I was expecting her to fix my mood by making pancakes for me, which she always used to do whenever my mood used to be not so good. But this time she did not even talk to me properly. I remember she had not even prepared breakfast for me and hardly went to her workplace. My wife's behavior was getting strange day by day. That night, I was extremely disappointed and upset. I decided to visit to my aunt's house in order to meet her. But when I reached her house, I was shocked to see my wife's car going outside of my aunt's house. Like if she had just left him from that place before me. Well, I went inside and asked my aunt that if my wife had come here. My aunt replied that my wife had not reached this house since we shifted to apartments. Well, I discussed everything with my aunt and told her about my wife's behavior. At first, she remained quite late. She said something that august me to the fullest. She told me that my cousin Jack had told her that she had seen my wife with several men many times. I really became furious that time and told her that my wife is a good woman. I then gave her an explanation that he might seen my wife with different men as my wife was a real estate agent who mainly do meetings with different people. I really did not consider my cousin's words and thought that he might be saying all this about my wife in jealousy. Well, I really did not know why Kay had not started chasing her. In spite of having a lot of clues. I remember that my wife became totally challenged at the start of 2022. Our physical relationship was really going bad those days because whenever I used to be so high and used to move towards her, she seemed really tired and did not show any interest. Her lame excuse was always the same, that she was tired of doing the whole day's work. I was literally getting irritated from her activities. Day by day, one day, our daughter had a high fever. Obviously, a nanny couldn't take care of her properly. I strictly asked my wife to come home early. But as usual, my wife did not reach the house early, and due to the lack of mother's attention, our daughter became more ill. That day, I literally slept. My wife very harshly when she reached the house. At about 2 Amy, remember how she argued with me that she was earning for us, blah, blah. I asked her to quit the job for us, but she did not listen. Her activities were getting unbearable day by day. In fact, she started blaming me and taunting me that I did not earn a good package. I was just tired of hearing such shit from her. So I decided to start my own cosmetics and skincare business. Well, I took out all my savings and took out a loan from some of my friends as well. In order to start the business, I wanted to gain more experience and maximum investment. So one of my relatives had invited me to California to gain all such things. He also told me that my parents had left some property for me. So I hardly went to California there. I worked hard day and night for about 3 months. I never intended to spend such a long time over there. But my late parents' property case was in the court, which took almost 3 months to be done. I did not tell my wife about my main purpose of going to California. I remember she was quite happy and excited when I was leaving for California the whole time. I remember how my wife dealt with me. Like I literally used to call her multiple times in a day, which she never picked whenever she used to pick the call. Luckily, and I used to ask her where she was. Her excuses were the same every time. Well, finally, when I reached Washington, I remember my wife seemed not happy on my arrival and she was just giving me the fake smile. It was about 2 a.m. of the night. I was sleeping peacefully and I randomly opened my eyes to drink the water, but the jug placed was empty. Well, I stood up in order to fulfill the jug. When I was shocked to see my wife sitting on the sofa of the TV lounge and talking to someone on hearing her conversation. I realized that she was with a male to whom she was asking to meet tomorrow. I remained quiet and decided to chase her. The next morning, I started chasing her when she went for her workplace. I remember she was holding the documents as well, which she was trying to hide. I knew that she was going to date someone. So I followed her secretly. I was shocked to see my wife dating my cousin, Jack, and other person. My feet froze in. I was so shocked. They both were making fun of her. At first, I was unable to guess what was actually happening there. But on further following my wife to the hospital, I realized that my wife was pregnant. My heart broke, and asking the nurse to whom I give money, who told me that my wife used to come regularly from last days in the hospital, along with a man with blonde hair who wears glasses. He was the same man to whom I had seen my wife on the restaurant with my cousin. Well, when I reached the house, I started throwing her luggage and she saw me like this. She called me mad and then showed me fake happiness. I remember she told me that she was carrying my baby in her womb. At first I laughed at her and then I told her that I had already listened to everything. My wife is still confessing anything and asking for my cousin, Jack. He told me everything about how I used to ask money from him on a regular basis. Then he offered my wife with a sugar daddy who played physically hard with her and now left her pregnant. Well, I bought a new luxurious house because my business is going really well. My daughter has been with my wife for 3 years because the court was in her favor. I divorced her. I don't want to have such deceivers in my life. Yesterday, when I posted my new car pictures, she commented on that post and now trying her best to approach me. But now never these days. I'm in a relationship with my coworker named Lynn who supported me a lot in my difficult time.